So you beautiful people, it's Trakky and welcome back to the channel. In today's video we're going to focus on the M13 and I'm going to give you a class that I believe is the class with ultra low recoil. Now this gun is quite easy to control the recoil, but it's always a benefit when you can do something better, isn't it, and make it easier for yourself so you can focus on other things like how you're going to flank or where you're going to move in Call of Duty Warzone. But before we do that, if you do enjoy the video at any point, please don't forget to drop a like, and if you haven't subscribed, consider subscribing with the notification bell clicked so you get my videos as soon as possible. So we're going to go through the class setup, but I'm going to start with what I would refer to as the meat and potatoes of this video, which is the foregrip. And I've chose the most popular foregrips out of the game. The Commando, the Merc and the Ranger seem to do bits, and obviously I've got to give you the base model just for some comparison. They've all got very similar recoil patterns, definitely drifts off to the right hand side as we veer up. The base model, you can see it's got much more recoil than any of the other grips, so those grips are definitely doing something to the recoil. The ones that I like the most out of these are the Merc and the Ranger. There seems to be a lot more vertical recoil at the start of their patterns before they start to veer off to the right hand side. I've chose to test these two grips at a range which is further away just to see if that has any effect on the recoil pattern, and as you can see here, it clearly demonstrates that the majority of initial shots on the Merc foregrip land in a much closer area. Now if you imagine that was the torso or the head of somebody, which one's more likely to kill first? Bearing in mind that the M13 does have a higher shot to kill because it's got a very low DPS, but it has a really nice damage multiplier when you get those headshots in. These are the hipfire spreads of the Merc and the Ranger, and you can clearly see who is the dominant one there, and this is going to be beneficial to those of you who don't want to run stuff like stipple grip. You're not necessarily going to get down your sights faster, so you've got something that you can do as a plan B, which is fire off the hip and then transition into your ADS, which is what I tend to do a lot of the time on this game. So with those findings, I just don't feel like the Ranger foregrip's added benefit of a slight increase in range is really worth it over the benefits of the hip fire spread from the Merc foregrip, which is going to obviously benefit you at those closer range combats when you go into a big building and somebody startles you. On top of that, our barrel is going to increase our range substantially anyway. We're going to use the Tempest Marksman here, and this will increase your damage range, bullet velocity and recoil control. Most of these attachments are always going to come at the cost of aim down sight speed or your mobility. Then we're going to put the ammunition on as 60 round mags because this gun has an insane fire rate. I think it's just over 900 RPM, which is more reminiscent of a SMG, and you can convert this in real life. I think it's the MCX it is in real life. You can convert this into like a really small compact SMG, but we're going to turn this into a powerhouse at range. So 60 round mags is a no-brainer on this particular weapon. I know in the video we've shown me using iron sights, but as time has gone on, I just prefer the GI Mini Reflex on the basis that it gives us that additional precision, especially because this gun has one of the best headshot multipliers out of all the assault rifles. So when it comes to target acquirement, I know I can just pop this just at the top of the chest and I'm going to get a couple headshots in to make that time to kill much shorter. And then finally, the obligatory monolithic suppressor. If you're not running this in Warzone, you're already doing something wrong in the game because you're just making yourself light up on everyone's HUD like a Christmas tree. And believe me, those who are thirsty for kills will be coming for you. Now I want to remain objective here and just state that this is an opinion. So if you don't feel like the Merc foregrip works for you, then use what you believe works for you. For those of you who weren't in the know about the recoil, this video is basically being done to show you a clearer picture of what these grips actually do so you can make a conscious choice as to what probably would suit you better. So don't just look at this setup and think to yourself, oh, I've got to use that setup. Just know the information's there, and that knowledge is power in your hands for you to build your class setup. But this is a suggestion from myself. Guys, there are many buttons you could hit, but a like and subscribe button, I hope they tickle your fancy. And as always, guys, don't forget to stay on the right track. Peace.